On June 2nd, 1963, 3 Union gunboats pushed up a river in South Carolina. Standing on the front of the lead boat, guiding them through this minefield, was a 5-foot-tall woman that had been born a slave. You've heard her name, I guarantee it, but I doubt that you've heard this story. Welcome to American Pride Trivia. Today we're going to talk about a woman you already know about because she was a leader in the Underground Railroad. I guarantee you heard about her in school. By the end of this video, you're going to know how she became the first woman in U.S. history to lead an armed assault. More importantly, you're going to learn why it took her country 36 years to pay her a single dime for it. All right, let's talk about who this woman was. I already said she's 5 feet tall. She's tiny. That makes it all the more impressive, all the things that she accomplished, because her life was way bigger than 5 feet tall. She was born in 1822 in Maryland as a slave. Her name was Araminta Ross, although most people knew her as Minty. You haven't heard of her yet, right? Let's change that. 1844, she married a free black man. His name was John Tubman, and her mom's name was Harriet. So she put those two things together, and she became Harriet Tubman. Yeah, you know who she is. You've heard about her. Harriet Tubman was the name that she chose for herself 5 years before she even got free. Something a lot of people don't know about her was when she was a girl, she had a horrific brain injury. One of the overseers, which is just a nice way of saying a slaveholder, threw a 2-pound weight at a different slave who tried to run. Unfortunately, the weight hit Harriet right in the head. This 2-pound weight broke Harriet's skull. She had symptoms from this for the rest of her life. She would have blinding headaches. She would have dizzy spells. She'd have sudden blackouts where she would just drop mid-sentence. And the crazy part is she got vivid visions that she claimed were messages from God. So are we painting a picture yet? 5-foot-tall slave, traumatic brain injury. She wasn't the kind of person to let this stuff hold her back. She escaped from being a slave. In 1849, which was about a dozen years before the Civil War, she escaped. She just took off. She ran 90 miles and she made it to Pennsylvania, which was a free state. She traveled at night and she used the North Star to guide her, but no one really knows how she got where she was going because she was using the Underground Railroad. And she didn't tell anyone who had helped her because she wanted to make sure that these people were able to help out other people. That's right. Harriet Tubman, she's not a snitch. So we all know from high school what happened next. She joined the Underground Railroad. The legend of Harriet Tubman is that she freed 300 people. The actual number is closer to about 70, and she did it over the course of 13 trips, which still is incredible. This lady's 5 foot tall. She's got a traumatic brain injury. She manages to get free. And somehow she's still such a badass that she makes 13 trips into enemy territory to free other people who were trapped as slaves just like she had been. They knew who she was. She was wanted. There was a bounty on her. This is an area where there's some discussion. Some of the places on the internet will say it was a $40,000 bounty. They've only been able to document that the reward was about $100, which still is about $4,300 in 2026 money. I'm not a snitch, but I guarantee if somebody offers me $4,300 to turn one of you knuckleheads in, I'm probably going to take it. Rent's expensive in California. Now that we have our background on this 5 foot tall, brain damaged little badass slave, let's talk about the story that you guys have never really heard about. But years before the Civil War, there was a radical abolitionist named John Brown. He knew Harriet Tubman and he asked her for help, but he didn't call her Harriet. He called her General Tubman. He was trying to start a slave uprising at Harper's Ferry. Harriet helped recruit fighters for him, and she was supposed to be part of the uprising, but she got sick. And this Harper's Ferry raid in October of 1859, that was one of the sparks that got the Civil War started. So Harriet's done all this stuff. She helped all these people escape. She helped light the spark for the Civil War. And you would think that that would be enough for most people, but not Harriet. When the war came, she actually went south into the fight. In 1862, in South Carolina, she took over a role that the Army had never really had. She became a spy and a nurse, and she developed her own intelligence network in the South through all of her contacts and all the people she knew, and she knew everything that was going on. She was all up in the gossip. And we're going to jump forward to 1860. We're 2 years into the Civil War, and Colonel James Montgomery and a regiment of black Union soldiers, the 2nd South Carolina Volunteers, loaded themselves onto boats. Their mission was to run 3 Union boats up the Combahee River to hit the rice plantation, and they were going to free the people that were enslaved there. But there's one major problem with this plan. The Confederates had put a bunch of mines and torpedoes all over the river. For most people, that would be a sign that the mission was a bust. We're talking about Harriet Tubman here. She's the 5-foot-tall lady that's not afraid of anything. She's able to work her network of Black Scouts, and she actually comes up with a map of all the mine locations. These boats head up the river, and Harriet Tubman is right there on the front of the boat leading the whole thing. They get past the mines, they blow a steam whistle, and then people come running from everywhere. Harriet, little 5-foot-tall Harriet, goes ashore, messes her dress all up in the mud, and then helps all these people get onto the boats. They load up all the slaves, they head back down the river, and by the time they got home, she had helped them free over 750 men, women, and children. So on that one day, she freed more people than her entire Underground Railroad career. And we've already made the case that Harriet Tubman was a badass. She's widely recognized as the first woman to lead an armed assault mission in U.S. history. Now here's the part that sucks. Harriet spent over 3 years in the Civil War as a nurse, as a scout, and even as somebody that was leading missions. And our government only paid her about $200, which is just over $4,000 in today's money, which isn't really enough to cover 1 month's worth of rent out here in California. Harriet fought for decades to get the pension that was owed to her. But our government was hemming and hawing around for the stupidest reason ever, because the jobs that she did, the nurses and the scouts, didn't really actually have a pay grade that they could use. She was the only one that had ever really done that job. She didn't finally get a pension until 1899, 36 years after she led this raid on the river and saved over 750 people. And the pension was small. It was like $20 a month or something. So there you go. For all you people that are sitting around whining about how tough your life is, this 5-foot lady that had a traumatic brain injury was born a slave and still took it upon herself to go fight for other people's freedom, to literally free hundreds of people, and barely got thanked for it for her own country. What's your excuse?